Good morning and good afternoon for our folks in Mississippi and Alabama. Thank you for joining us for our office hours, the Appalachian Diabetes Network today. If you could put your organization name and the county that you're representing in the chat box for us, that would be wonderful. So the organization and the county and state that you're representing today, that would be great.
Hancock County, West Virginia. Natalie Holden, and I'm with Change Family Medical.
Great. So good morning. Good morning / afternoon for folks who are in Central Time. You have people in Central Time and people in Eastern Standard Time. So good morning and good afternoon. Thank you and welcome to the Appalachian Diabetes Network. We just like to ask you to put your organization that you're representing and your county and state in the chat box so we can have a record of folks that attended.
Hi, Mary Wade. This is Sheila. How are you?
How's it going?
Good. Are you sharing your screen?
Yes, I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. And then we'll, Regina, you want everybody to sign in first, or you want us to go ahead and get started and Mary Wade can introduce herself? And got a lot of people on here, so we don't have really a lot of time to, go into all the how-tos and all of that right yet. So
yes, I think we can go ahead and get started. And today's session will be recorded for folks who aren't able to attend, and we always or typically post our recordings for the virtual office hours on our YouTube page, and we can also send out a link to all of the participants if you would like to share. So I do want to do one thing before we get started. If you know how to use your reactions, or you can give me a thumbs up if you received the email this morning about how to prepare for the workshop. So either a thumbs up or OG, you got question this morning about how to, cool. Looks like most people got that information. Well, thank you so much. And so we are going to turn it over to our guest speaker today, Miss Mary Wade Burnside. And she's gonna do a Canva for beginners for us.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm Mary Wade Burnside, and I'm the Public Information Officer at Monongalia County Health Department in Morgantown, West Virginia. I'm happy to be here, and I don't know if anybody has any experience with Canva. I have found that sometimes I've taught interns Canva and then they know it better than me. So if any of you know Canva, I hope that I'm able to, tell you new helpful things. Just a little bit about myself. I was a newspaper reporter, magazine editor for most of my career. And I've been here at the health department for nearly 4 years. So I was mostly a writing person, an editorial person. And so I'm not an artist or a graphic person. And I got this job and I had to do social media posts and posters. And when I first got the job, I didn't know about Canva. So a few months later, we had a couple of interns and they told me about it, and they spent about 10 minutes showing me the basics of Canva. And then I'm the kind of person that I kind of have to get in and work with stuff
That was weird. Okay, sorry about that.
Thanks, Kevin.
So we're good?
Yes, it looks like it's recording now. So I think yes, you can proceed.
Okay, great. So I collected some things to go over with you that I made in Canva to show you kind of the different things you can do with Canva. I also wanted to make something in Canva, or make a few things in Canva to show you the technical aspects of it. I don't know which might be useful for you all first. If you'd rather see some things I've made in Canva first, or if you want to get down to the nitty-gritty and see how to make something in Canva. Does anybody have any ideas?
Regina, since you've played around with it and we haven't, which way do you think is the best way to start?
I would recommend how to make things in Canva, like how to create different flyers and what they're called, and they can be called flyers, but they also have different names for different promotional items.
Right. Okay. And then afterwards, if we have time, I can show you some of the things I made in Canva. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen. I think I've done this once before, so hang on, please.
And then if you have any questions, you can always put them in the chat box, and we can read them out loud for the group.
Okay, so okay, can you all see Canva now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna try to move you all so I can see my Canva. Okay, so this, if you make a, if you get onto Canva and you open your screen, it's going to look like this. Up here at the top right corner is where is the button you click to make a design. Over here, all your designs, these are all things I've made in Canva, and it goes way down. So I'm going to start with something that I made yesterday that I thought would be a good thing to show you a lot of different things Canva can do. It's a basic thing. I work for a health department, so a lot of the things I do right now are for COVID, so I apologize. But we have COVID testing, and we do it twice a week, and I have to make things to post to advertise that. So I think I discussed with you in that sheet that, you have to have art for your pieces. You can either go to a free site like Pixabay, which is what I did for this one. You can use your own photos. Canva has some options, and I can go over those. Some are free, some are not free. So I've already downloaded something from Pixabay, and then I uploaded it to this. And so I'm just going to show you how I make this. So I went up here on the left, you have all these different things that we'll go over. Templates, if you want to make something from a template. Uploads to get the things that you've uploaded to Canva. Photos, which are photos that Canva offers. Elements, which are shapes and people, just all sorts of things. You can go up here and do a search for different things that you might want to use. Text, for text. Audio is something that we're not really going to be dealing with. That's not a whole lot. I don't really know a whole lot about that. Or video. Background, you could choose a background for this. but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make mine from scratch. So those, and then up here, you're also going to have things that are going to start showing up. You start making your item, and so you'll use these things, and we'll go over those things as well. So I've gone to uploads, and I've brought this image over that I want to use for my testing post. So I always put, now I've uploaded so many things, and it takes a little while to scroll, but I also have a little hack that you can copy things from other things you've done and bring them onto another post, and that's a time saver. And I'll show you more about how to do that later. I'm going to bring this up to fill that. Now, because of the way this is, there's a background here that is slightly a different color than the white. So you can see that white. Now, unfortunately, with some posts, you will have the option of matching that color. So, oh, and here we do. Yesterday I didn't. Okay, so in order to do this, to change the color of my background, I click on it. I can't click on the image. I have to click on the background. And then up here is a color wheel. And it actually, sometimes this pops up, sometimes this doesn't. It is going to let me finish that. So that color, I can make that match. So there's not an awkward space up there. This also gives me some color suggestions. So then the next thing I want to do is I want to write on it. Yesterday I did something, and I'm just going to do this to show you some of the options you have with elements. A shape, here's a way you can use a shape. You can just, this is a square, obviously. I brought it out here, and I'm changing the shape of it to be more horizontal. And then let's say I want to make it a different color. So I'll make it that blue to match his shirt. That's one thing, that's one way you can use an element. I'll show you some other ways you can use some of these elements. So then text, you have, if you wanted to start from scratch, you have these 3 fonts, and then you also have these fun things that you can use. These things did not exist 3 years ago when I started using Canva. But let's just say we're going to do it from scratch. So I just do this. I just click on it. It comes over here. I make it bigger just so I can work with it. Now, these are very basic fonts. And I wrote about fonts, that fonts can really jazz up your posts. Not only that, they can help you make them more readable. They can draw attention to them. If you're just starting out, you might think there are just so many fonts, it's too hard to deal with. There are some go-tos that I like, and I like, for these, I use this Nor'Western. You can, if you know the name of a font, you can do a search for it. That went away. So I'm going to start over. Okay. So Nor'Western. And then I can either just pull on it here, or I can go up here and I can make it bigger. And then I'm going to say free COVID-19 testing. And that way I know what I'm working with. And I can just make it big to fill that space. And if you pull the little lines out, that will be centered. And then if I want to make it another color, I click on this A up here, and I don't think any of these colors are really going to work. So then these are the default colors. So I'm going to try this pink. But let's say, you know, I don't like that shade of pink. Well, then I can go up here and click on this plus sign. And that's going to give me a color wheel. So I can make it, if I want to make that darker, lighter, you know, you can really play around with it. The other thing is you can go here, down here, and you can, obviously, if you go toward here, you're going to make it bluer. So it's going to be more purple. If you go here, it's going to make it redder. As a non-graphic person, once I started doing this, I really like when I'm watching TV and I'm watching commercials, I really start seeing fonts and the way they might use colors in logos. And, you know, I'll steal from anything. So anyway, so I like that color better than the one I started out with. And then I want to put more information on here, but this is an Instagram post. This is a tight squeeze. So I go back to elements, and then I'm going to put a circle on here. It's going to be pretty small. And I'm going to go back to the text, put text there, and I'm going to change it to bring ID, wear mask. Okay, now once again, okay, that's not going to work. So we can do a few things. I'm going to change the font to a font that is going to be a lot skinnier. And a good one that I use a lot is League Gothic. And so that fits. And then obviously that color is not really showing up that well. So I'm going to go back up to this A, text color, and I can just make it the same color as the background. And the other thing I can do is up here is letter spacing and line spacing. I don't really use the letter spacing that much. The letter spacing will, you know, let you draw the letters out or, you know, squish them together. I don't really use that a whole lot, but the line spacing I use a lot. So I'm going to pull it this way, and that way it's not so far from each other. So now I have that. And if you want to maybe skew it a little, you highlight it and there's this little circle underneath, and you can, you know, make everything, you know, a little more eye-catching if everything is not the same. Now, the other thing I need to do is I'd like to say the location. So I'm going to go back over to elements. I'm going to get another box, and I'm going to bring it down here. And I'm just going to move my logo out of the way for now. And I'm going to do this. Now, obviously, this is covering these people up, and we don't really want to do that. So what you can do is you go back up to this, which will let you change this color. And I'm just going to change it to white. And then I can go up to here, and I can change the transparency on it. So basically, I can write over them better without, you know, covering up the picture. So I'm going to go back to my text, let's bring the text over again. And I'm going to say at 9 a.m. to noon, Friday, W Rec Center. And then move it down. And then once again, I'm going to want to change the font. I'm going to want to change the color. I'm going to want to move it closer together. So I want to make sure the font is readable. So I'm going to go back to the Nor'wester. And once again, I'm going to pull it out to the sides so it's centered. And then I'm going to go up here. I'm going to make the lines closer together. And then I'm going to move it down because I made that box too big. So I'll just move it down. And then I can go back and click on this box and I can move it down. And now, I've been able to maximize the space. I'm going to put the logo back. And the logo looks like it's gone behind here. So something I can do is go up to position and I can ask that to go backward. And that way my logo pops back out in front. So now I would tweak this more, but that's basically, a basic, that shows you a lot of different things you can do with Canva. Now, this is an Instagram size, and I don't know if you all are more interested in social media, flyers, brochures, but so I want to do this as a Facebook post too. I want to make it bigger. This is crowded. Facebook will let me, Instagram is a very specific size, but I can make a Facebook post and it won't be so crowded. So there are different ways you can do this, but I'm going to use the group function and I'm going to start outside, click down and highlight everything. Now, so you could also just try to highlight a few things. If you can group just a few items, but here I'm going to group everything. And then I'm going to go back up to these 3 dots where we have all these things that we can use. And I'm going to hit group. And then I have to click off of it and then click back on it and hit Control C for copy. So I've just copied that. Now I'm going to go to open up Canva again. This time I'm going to create a Facebook post. Now there are a ton of Facebook posts you can make. I usually use one of 2. I usually use this Facebook app ad. I like this shape. It's a more horizontal shape. And then the basic one is Facebook post. So I'm going to do this Facebook app ad. So open it up. And now I'm just going to do Control V. And there is what I made in Instagram. So now I'm going to go up here. I'm going to hit ungroup. And now I can use all these elements and spread it out. I can make this bigger now. I can bring this out. I can click on the whole thing and go make sure the background is all even. I'm going to move my logo. And now I can, I could do this now if I wanted to. I could put a little line here and bring that up and move it down. Move that down, bring it out, move that down. I can still make that bigger. I can bring my logo down, I can make it bigger. And the group function to use on its own, see here I'm having to move this, well, now I've messed up the shape, but it's kind of, I'm gonna make a new one. But it's kind of, here, I'm gonna change the color on that too. But, moving those things around separately is kind of boring, is kind of, a drag. So I'm going to use the group function. I'm going to try to just kind of move these people out of the way. And there, I can group that together. Now, I can move it around. I can make it bigger, smaller, put these people back. And I could put, and then I can also go up here, and this is the copy function. So I can duplicate this, and I can have another informational thing over here. And I like to make them a little asymmetrical. So there. So that, in that way, I was able to, without starting from scratch, make that into a Twitter or a Facebook size. Now, if you get a Canva membership, I believe you can just come up to this button and resize things. But that costs money, and I don't do that. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, how do you save what you just did?
It's going to save on its own. All changes saved up here. So, you wait a minute, not even a minute, you wait a few seconds, and it's all saved.
And then it'll be, and
I'm sorry?
then it will be under your templates.
Well, then when I go back here to all my designs and I hit refresh, and it takes a while. They're here. It just takes a while to generate, but they're right there.
Okay.
And then when I want to download it, go to this button up here, download, and you have choices. You have PNG, JPEG, PFD standard, PFD print, and then video. I generally use two of these. If I'm going to put it on social media, I use the PNG. If it's something I'm going to print out, like a poster or a brochure, I use the PDF print. But this is something I'd want to post on social media, so I'm going to make it a PNG. I'm going to download. And then it gives me the option, you can either name it up here, but this just captured, some of the text. So if I want to rename it, I can do that and save it to my desktop. And that way I can just go right to Facebook and post it. So that is one basic way to make something. Another thing you can do is, if you want, let's say you want to do a flyer. And actually, let's say you want to do something custom size. Let me show you that. So here, I don't know about you, but I pretty much work in inches, not pixels. And you have to change it to whatever you want first before you start entering numbers in. So let's just say I want a 24 by, let's call this a poster, 36 poster, create new design. Okay. And let's say I want to look at templates. So then the very top one here is templates. And a lot of times I'll use a template if I want to use a photo. And let's see, I believe this is free. So let's pull that in. Okay. And actually, okay, this is actually good. So this, I would have to pay for this photo. but I'm not going to use that photo. So I pull that out, or if I leave it in for now, the other thing I can do is I can go to my uploads. I don't have a lot of, oh, here's a photo. I don't have a lot of vertical photos. But then I can put my photo in. And then I don't have to pay for that. So that Canva with the marks, that was a watermark, and it won't let you download it. And then I can, this guy gave his 1,000th vaccine. So I can do like this fun, I can, move this bubble gum, move that out of the way, and I can change this to 1,000 vaccine. That color isn't really great. It's not really shown up. So I can make it blue. I can make it darker. I can change this to match whatever that says. I can take it out there. And there I've used a template to make a poster. And I've, customized it to what I want. The elements, another thing to show you is that, let's create a design. Let's do this again. Instead of using a template, I have some photos I want to put on this. Go to elements and go up here and search for frames. So these are all frames that you can pull on to what you're working on, and you can choose a size like this. And let's say you want to put 3 photos on here, and let's say you want them all to be the same size. So instead of dragging this over 3 times, especially if you want to play with it and make it a certain size, once you get it over here, you can go up here and duplicate that. And that way, all your frames are the same size. And then you can go to your uploads. I'm just going to pull some random pictures. You have to work because obviously it wants to fill the whole background. So there. And now I can click on here and go here. It's giving me color suggestions for each of the photos. So I can just kind of play around and see if I like any of them as a background. I often don't. And then you can also go down here and check out these backgrounds that might offer you some, here's a sky. Here's just something that's got some texture. So you can play around with that. And then you can go back up to elements, because there's just so much in the elements that you can use, like fireworks. So let's say you wanted to add some fireworks. You could do that. I'm really just, if you wanted to do food, let's see, tomato. See, that's free. So, oh, here's something. So you have that situation where it's just it doesn't know where it wants to go. So if you start having that, you can come here, click on this, go up to your dots, and you can lock it. And that way, that didn't work. Yeah, I guess you have to lock all the individual photos as well. So if I lock that photo, then it's not going to let me put anything else on that photo. So I can, I can do that, and it's not going to try to fill in that space. So does anybody have any questions? I thought I could also show you some things I made and go over some things. So I used something called a transparency a lot. And that is basically, I have two different logos for my health department. This one on the left, if I'm going to put it on something white, then that looks fine. But if I put it on something with a background color, you're going to see that white around it. So this transparency will just go up right on there, and the background color doesn't matter. It's the same thing with these people. So this woman is a transparency. She has no background. So when I pull her into my design, I can make whatever color background I want. With this woman, I have to do the thing where I might make her smaller and then I can match that color and fill it in.
Excuse me just a minute. Is it just me, but I'm not seeing any changes on the screen? I'm still seeing the tomatoes.
Oh, really?
Same
Everybody? Huh.
I see the tomatoes as well.
Okay, I don't know why that's happening. All right.
Maybe we could stop sharing and then share again.
Okay. I gotta move you all again.
This would probably be a good time for folks, since it is a lot of information if you're new to Canva, and since we are absorbing it, if you have any questions about something that you would like to create in particular, you can go ahead and ask those questions, or you can put those questions in the chat box. I know that we have a Facebook page, and I didn't even know you could make a Facebook post like that. I've been just using a picture, a PNG picture. So thank you for showing us that, Mary Wade.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna try sharing again. Are you seeing my desktop now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So I'm going to go back to, does anybody have any questions?
No, it started when you started talking about transparencies, and I was
Okay.
interested in that. So, yeah.
Okay. So do you see a lot of different elements now, a lot of different tiny things that I've made?
Yes.
Okay. So going back to the transparencies, can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the one that's not a transparency. So if I put that on anything but a white background, there's going to be a box around it and it's not going to look very good. So this is a transparency. Then this woman down here on the right, she's a transparency. So I could change the color of the background.
Where did you get the transparency option though? I may be the only one that missed that.
Oh yeah, no, I get, so Pixabay, I mean, there are other options, but I find Pixabay to be, let's see, woman in mask, transparent. This might be too information. I might not get anything. Okay. It's usually just a person wearing mask. Okay, so here's Pixabay and here are photos. Once again, sometimes the more general the search, the better. Medical mask. Okay, so these are pictures. And I'm looking for a transparency. Okay, this woman is transparent. Here. See, so you'll call her up and it'll have this checkerboard background.
Right.
And so then I can download that going to want me to identify parking meters. Download. Okay, so then I'm going to go back up to Canva. Let's just put her on an Instagram post. So here I'm going to upload, and I'm going to upload her. And kind of have to put her down here because she's cut off. So you have like two options. When something's cut off like that, you can put her all the way on the bottom, or if you want to put her, if you wanted her to be more in the middle, you can go back to your elements and go back to shapes and go back to this and just put this here. And you can make this, you can go here and see, this is one of the times when it's not giving me color selections. So, you know, but let's, so then you can move her down there. Because otherwise, and there are things that are, I mean, that's not as bad, but there's things like that I've used before, like a hand with a wrist reaching out, and it's, you know, you have to put something there. Otherwise, it looks kind of strange. And then, okay. Oh, okay. So now I'm making her smaller. So my box will come back up. And now I can make a background color. And while we're talking about colors, I wanted to, you know, these colors the basic colors they give you, if they're kind of like primary colors and primary adjacent, there's this very cool thing called Canva color palette. Are you seeing the changes on my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this has a login function. I've never logged in. But you can come here and explore color combinations. So if you can kind of go see, and you don't have to use all four. And you can, if you're thinking of something in the blue, you know, blue and red, you can type that in and it'll give you options. And so you can see more, maybe what I would call more sophisticated colors, you know, more sophisticated color pairings that I personally, you know, wouldn't think of. And so that's been something that I've been using for the past year or so. That's been really helpful. The other thing is you can do is, let's say, you know, you want a sky blue, you can Google sky blue color code. And if I mean, and sometimes you'll get different options, but like, let's say you like that one. And it has what's called a color code, a hex color code. So you go on it, you copy that color, and then you go back to this, and here, oh, yeah, that was the wrong way to do it. Oh, yeah. Or another way to do it would be you can just back to all my designs. Another way to do it would be to go to this plus thing and see, well, it's already there, but, and you can copy it there and it'll change the color. And if you still want to tweak it, you can still use the color wheel and change the color. And then another thing that you might find that comes in handy is a photo might not be fitting your shape, either your frame or your Instagram. You know, it might not be fitting the way you want it to. So Canva also has this cool free thing you can use called Canva Photo Editor. and I can upload. See if I have a random photo. Oh, here. Here, I'll upload one of my boss. So that's his picture, but there's too much room on the right, let's say. So, and are you all still seeing this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this actually lets you do a few different things. So you can go up to crop, and then if you unlock this, that'll let you go sideways like that. If you don't unlock it, you're just going to be able to do this. But either way, like let's say you that's the shape you want. You come here and hit apply, save, and then you download it. And that way, that size might fit your needs better. Now, another thing you can do, and I usually like to start from scratch to do this. I'm going to leave and start all over. Upload. Let's say you want to resize. Sometimes you might want to resize in social media. Sometimes they'll tell you a photo is too big. So then you go to here again, instead of going up to crop, you go to resize. And then usually you just go to 1,000 here. And then you have to hit apply again. And now that's a lower quality photo in case your photo image, you're being told for whatever reason that your photo is too big. Once again, you save it and download it. You can also, sometimes you get a picture. I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but you get a picture and it's sideways. You can rotate it. And then once it's where you want it, you can save it again. You can flip a photo. So now he's on the left. Vertical, now he's upside down. So that doesn't make much sense. But the crop and the resize are the two I use the most. And there's some other things you can play with too, like if you want to mess with the brightness or the contrast or the saturation, this lets you do that. Now, if you have Photoshop, you don't need this. These are things you can do in Photoshop. I don't have Photoshop.
Mary Wade, I have a question.
Sure.
How long on average does it take you to create like a flyer?
It totally depends. Oh, and I'm going to go back here and show you a couple things. Sometimes I think something's going to take a long time and it doesn't, and vice versa. It really just depends. I'm going to show you one thing I made. I made this poster. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So I had to make a poster, and I had to, the nurse said, we have vaccine now, but we're not going to start giving it until October. And then I just had the thought, coming to a health department near you. So then I went to Pixabay. I put in movie posters. I got this photo. So then I actually planned my whole thing around this photo. Like, how can I make this be about flu? And then I went to a Blob. I Googled the Blob, the movie, and looked at that movie poster, and I got the idea to do this. So this actually didn't take me very long at all, because these are just these shapes. So that was really fast. Now, last week, somebody else made this flyer. And last week, I was going to try to make it into a poster, and I was going to try to copy their poster. It was, it had to be bigger, it had to be a different shape. And I was getting really frustrated. So if anybody looking at this flyer, does anybody have like any thoughts on it? Like how readable it is, or, are you grasping what it's about?
It's too small print.
Right. It's got a logo at the top instead of what it's about. And then it's just got all this information on it that you have to read. And then these triangles are kind of limiting because it's a hard shape to put something in. So I just started from scratch and I pulled a template, which ended up and I could, with these shapes on it, and I could just move the shapes around. So, it's a grief support group. And then, I thought that I put the logo at the bottom, and I thought by, highlighting the information in different boxes, people can read it more easily. So once I decided that I couldn't recreate that flyer, and I decided to go with a template, I made this pretty quickly. It was the figuring out that flyer wasn't going to work. That's what took time. So it really just depends on what you're doing, what your idea is. And sometimes I just have to throw something together and it just doesn't, look as good. If we have a rabies outbreak, I just go get a picture of a raccoon and I write no rabies on it with our logo.
I have another question. Can you create QR codes on Canva?
I don't think so, but I actually just did that. Do you know how to? You can just go to a site. I just found this site that I think I like called Flowcode, and I just made a what I believe to be a free QR code, and they're letting you do fancier ones now. So
do you mind just explaining what a QR code is for folks who don't know what that is?
Sure. So a QR code it looks like a barcode, and then you have to go download an app on your phone. I use something called QR Droid. That's a good one, but there's a lot of different apps. And then, so here's what I made. They let me personalize it. They let me choose a color. They let me put our logo in. And then basically, I know you're not going to be able to see my camera, but I open the app and I hold it up to that code, and it should be able to read it. So that is what, and then that will take you to the website that you've built to your QR code.
Mary Wade, we have a question about the QR code. The question is, how do you measure impact of the QR code? Do folks really use it, or is it a trending item that is expected?
Right. Well, so they will give you analytics on how much it's used. I just made this today, so you can see over here, it's like 1 today, 0 in the last 7 days, because I just made it right before this workshop.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, so you basically, and I'm guessing that just differs, for the groups, the different groups. Does anybody have any other questions? There's something else I kind of wanted to go over with people that I thought might be helpful. But if anybody has any questions, we can do that.
We have about 4 minutes left.
Okay. So I'll show you something that I have an intern, and can you see this skin cancer awareness?
Yes.
Okay, so she turned this in, and I just want to show, I spent a few minutes just kind of changing it up. So what I did, I really didn't like that, May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month. So what I did was, and here, I put the Skin Cancer Awareness Month on one line. I made this a cursive font. So I mixed it up a little. May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month. And then I highlighted, or I bolded, 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer in their lifetime. I have, with all my interns, I feel like readability, a lot of times they don't use the space, and they don't really take care to make things readable. So you want to just make sure, however much or however little you want to get into fonts, you want to make sure it's readable. And then she also turned this in, and I thought, well, that could be a lot more readable. So this is the first thing I did to it. I made the background darker. I brought in a sun just to, make it a little more fun. I made it, I made it that Nor'wester font. So I thought that was more readable. And then I thought, well, what else could I do? So then I pulled in a sun background, and I put an equal sign. So A equals. So that's just, an illustration of kind of taking something, and, if you make a few changes, you can make it a little more eye-catching for people. Does anybody have any more questions?
I have one question back on that transparency. I don't know why that's sticking with me, but I really like that. Are you able to take one of your own photos, a JPEG, and use it and make it a transparency like that? So you don't have a square, like our
Right,
logo has a square white.
Yeah, no, I understand the question.
Okay.
I can't do that. You can do that in Photoshop. If you have Photoshop, or if you know somebody who has Photoshop, you can have them cut the photo out.
Okay.
And then you can do that. Unfortunately, Canva photo editor doesn't do that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I do a lot of things where I'm, where I just use a photo and I write on it like that. Here's a quick thing I made to say that we don't have testing on Memorial Day. Or let's see, here's a test, I took a photo and then I just put a lot of, stuff on it, a lot of information. So that's the kind of thing I do with photos, where you can use frames and the frame, and then the photo doesn't take up the whole thing. I have another cheat sheet that I made with more information on it. And I can send that to Sheila, and she can send it to everybody.
That would be great. Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions after this, if you want to email me, that's fine. I noticed, usually, like I said, with me, I just started playing around with it, and, I got the hang of it and started learning new things.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much.
Well, it was my pleasure, and I hope I was able to help.
Yeah, it was very, very good. I enjoyed it. Thank you. I didn't have any training prior to this, so thank you.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Everyone have a good day.